Cowboy Nation, welcome to the Gridiron Sports Podcast. Y'all already know who it is. It's your guy, Majestic Sounds. Cowboy Nation, I know you all are highly upset after this defeat. We had the game in the bag, but evidently special teams didn't get the memo. And whenever you block a punt and the ball goes forward, we shouldn't touch the ball. Point blank. I think everybody that plays football should know that. If you ever played the sport, off top, your coach is going to tell you, hey, listen, if the ball goes forward after the ball has been blocked, get away from the ball. And then number two, the players on the team should be talking to each other that's actually out on the field during the time of the block punt. So special teams should have been communicating with one another while they were actually on the field, yelling out to each other, don't touch the ball. Don't touch the ball. Somebody should have said that like a million times. Don't even touch it. Stay away from it. Don't touch it. However, a guy did touch it. He tried to secure the ball. He couldn't secure it. And then the Cincinnati Bengals were able to jump up on it and get it. And able to put their offense back out on the field after our defense just stopped Joe Burrow and company. Jamar Chase had a big game. Of course, Joe Burrow had a big game. And they were able to get the ball back. They were able to score after our defense just got off the field making a stop. So when you look at that, when you look at that perspective of the game, you can't fault special teams for that. But if you look at the overall game, the defense played their butt off. Our offense still not scoring in the red zone. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a red zone scoring issue. We're not scoring touchdowns in the red zone. We only had one touchdown in the red zone and one field goal in the red zone with 3 trips to the red zone. The second half, fourth quarter, we couldn't move the ball, period. Cincinnati Bengals defense were able to stop our offense in the fourth quarter. We couldn't move the ball. We couldn't move the ball. Let's just be honest. So, ladies and gentlemen, another defeat on Monday Night Football for the Dallas Cowboys. And now, our hopes for the playoffs looking real slim. So we most definitely got to win out. And not only that, we got to have some teams to lose. I mean, quite a few teams need to just lose the rest of the season in the NFC if we're going to have a chance to make it to the playoffs. Now, we're not going to be the NFC East division leader. That's completely out of the question because we have 2 good teams in our division, in the Washington Commanders and in the Philadelphia Eagles. It's so crazy saying Washington Commanders because, you know, they haven't had a quarterback. They was missing, and now they have a quarterback. And a quarterback makes a difference. When you have a quarterback, it makes the world of a difference. But anyway, the Commanders and the Eagles are top of the division, so we're not going to win our division. Our only ray of hope at this point is to win out. We got to win out, and we got to pray some other NFC teams lose in our conference. They got to lose some divisional games and they got to lose some conference games. And all the while, we got to be winning while all of that is going on in order to make the playoffs. So that's where we are, ladies and gentlemen, at this point. But I wasn't high on coming into this game knowing how Joe Burrow is. He's an elite quarterback. He has weapons. They have a decent running game. They don't have a top 10 running game, but they have a decent running game. But when you got Joe Burrow, how can you take the ball out of his hands if you're his offensive coordinator? So they just give it to Joe and let Joe do what he do. And he was able to pull out the victory for the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, we know Dak is hurt. He had surgery, season-ending surgery. And now we got Zach Martin, who's having season-ending surgery as well. And people are talking about he's contemplating retirement and things of that nature. If he do retire, I won't be mad at him. One of the best offensive linemen to ever play the game. And so if he actually decides to retire, I'm fine with it. I don't have a problem with that. Now, if he do retire, we're going to have somebody replace him. So, Hoffman looked good. Matter of fact, Cooper Beebe, our rookie center, had a concussion, so he went out for the game. So Hoffman ended up being the center for the rest of the game. And then, of course, my guy Overshawn looked like his knee got banged up pretty bad during the game. And then a special teams guy, CJ Goodwin. Now, if CJ Goodwin didn't have the hamstring problem, Warrior, I think I'm pronouncing his name right, the guy who ended up touching the ball, who shouldn't have touched the ball. I believe his last name is Warrior. If CJ Goodman had been out there, then maybe we'll be talking about a victory, at least a 23-20 victory. All we had to do was get in field goal range, and with Brandon Aubrey as our kicker, that's automatic money. But that's neither here nor there. So what actually happened, Warrior touched the ball, Woozier or Warrior, however you pronounce my guy's name, he ended up touching the ball. He couldn't secure the ball, and Cincinnati dived on it and contained possession of the ball and gave it back to Joe Burrow. Now, what I want to say about Cooper Rush, I have nothing against Cooper Rush. I have nothing against even the game plan, but at the same time, you got to throw the ball down the field. I don't think we had one pass over 15 yards. I'm talking about actually throwing down the field. I'm not talking about yak yardage, throwing a short pass and getting yak yardage. But Joe Burrow was able to throw the ball down the field, but not a Cooper Rush. He just can't do it. And I understand they trying to limit turnovers, so I do understand the game plan, but offensively we just couldn't do enough in the second half. Let's just be honest. Let's just call a spade a spade. And I got to be honest on this end too, because we got to throw the ball. You have no choice. And really, shout out to Rico Dowdle, because the running game was good today. I'm going to pull up the numbers here shortly. But in my humble opinion, the running game was good. It was the passing game that wasn't good enough. It wasn't good enough for us to win. We would have never been in that position if the passing game was up to par. And I get it. Cooper Rush is not Dak Prescott. I get all of that, but you got to take some chances. You got to draw up some plays. And I get it. I know the guy young, but he's a good deep ball catcher. He's a good 50-50 ball. And that is my guy, Jalen Tolbert. Now we got Brandon Cooks back and healthy. Why not throw him a 50-50? Draw up some plays for these guys. We need some deep passing yards in order to beat a high-scoring team like the Cincinnati Bengals. You got to throw the ball down the field. You got to draw up some plays for these guys down the field. Point blank, that's what you got to do, ladies and gentlemen. For some reason, Mike McCarthy just didn't want to do that. Brian Schottenheimer, the offensive coordinator, and Mike McCarthy did not want to do that with Cooper Rush. I get it. Cooper Rush may not have a strong arm, but you're going to have to throw the ball down the field. You're going to have to test the waters. You're going to have to put some pressure on that secondary back there. They didn't put any pressure on the secondary back there all night long. You got to look off the safety, and you got to take some deep shots. You got to. You got to make the defense play honest. The defense ain't got to play honest if you're not throwing the ball down the field. They can play cover two and do whatever they want to do underneath, because you're not challenging them. You got to challenge them. As a play caller, you got to challenge them. As a quarterback, you got to challenge them. So that's the only problem with the game. Even with those problems, we still had an opportunity to win. But again, special teams didn't get the memo. And they messed up our opportunity of winning the game. However, we are going to have to score in the red zone. We still have a red zone problem. But I'm glad our running game looks good. We don't have a running game problem anymore, ladies and gentlemen. So that's something to be proud about. Our defense played very well. You can only stop T. Higgins and Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow for a while. You can't expect the defense just to completely shut those guys down. They are a very potent offensive team, and you have to give those guys they respect for that. And so you can't just expect Mike Zimmer and our defense to completely shut them down for the whole game. That's impossible against a talent like Joe Burrow in the Cincinnati Bengals. So, ladies and gentlemen, at this point, if we were to make the playoffs, I don't think we'll get far. The way Mike McCarthy and Brian Schottenheimer are drawing up the game plans, the schemes and the schematics of the game, the strategy of the game, the play calling, the routes, it's going to be bloody hard to even win one game. Who do you think we can beat out of all the playoff contending teams? Who do you think we really can beat with Cooper Rush as our quarterback? Who you really think we can beat as Mike McCarthy as our head coach and play caller? Who you really think we can beat with Brian Schottenheimer and Mike McCarthy running the offense? Who do you think out of all the playoff teams or teams in playoff contentions, if you will? So, everybody want us to go to the playoffs. I get it. I want us to go to the playoffs as well. But realistically, who in the world can we beat? We can't beat Minnesota. I don't think so. We always have a problem with the 49ers. Can we beat Detroit? The answer is no. I'm not sure if we could beat Philly. These teams are playoff teams for sure. Every team I just named, even the 49ers, they still got a chance to get in the playoffs. It may be slim, but they got a chance. And we can't beat them. We haven't beat them in the last 4 times we played them. So, ladies and gentlemen, I know y'all don't want to hear this. Boys and girls, I know y'all don't want to hear this. Cowboy Nation, I know y'all don't want to hear this. But the truth is simply this. If we were to make it to the playoffs, who in the world are we going to beat? I don't think we can beat a lot of playoff teams. That's just how I look at it. And I'll talk more about this on another episode. I'll break down the NFC conference. I already talked about the AFC conference, so I will come back and break down the NFC conference and just be realistic about our chances of making it to the playoffs and who we potentially will have to play in the wild card if we win out. We got a chance on winning out. I'm not going to count us out just yet. We got a slim chance. But we're going to have to bring out a game every game. We can't make mistakes like that like we did tonight against the Cincinnati Bengals on Monday Night Football with the whole world watching. And we can't do something simple as don't touch the ball. So evidently, we still got some work to do as far as discipline and the small nuances and things of that nature of football. So that's my time, Cowboy Nation. I truly want to thank you all for your time. Listen, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit the thumbs up and make sure you share this content with a friend. Share it with a neighbor. Share it with a family member. Share it with a coworker. Share it with a stranger. And even share it with your enemy. And maybe maybe y'all might become friends after talking about the Dallas Cowboys. DC for life.